I'm Dr. John Scharffenberg, a medical doctor, professor of nutrition from the University of Loma Linda in California. Today, I wish to discuss how we can lower our risk of heart attack by 80%, how we can lower our risk of stroke by 80%. We can even lower the risk of getting type 2 diabetes by 88%. All the Heart Association groups, the European Cardiology Society, the American Heart Association, and the World Health Organization all agree to this. We can do this without medicine. We just need to avoid 7 risk factors. These risk factors are, number 1, tobacco. The World Health Organization says that by the year 2020, we will have 10 million people die every year from smoking. This need not be. Some countries, the smoking rate has gone down very nicely. Other countries, though, it is increasing. The second risk factor is alcohol. Every time you drink, you knock out some brain cells. It's important to avoid the alcohol. It increases systolic blood pressure. It increases breast cancer in women. It increases rectal cancer. So we need to avoid the alcohol in order to reduce the risk of heart attacks. What are some of the other risk factors? Next one that's most important, number 3, is inactivity. About 2 million people are dying every year just because of lack of exercise. Now let me give you one thing that shows you how important exercise is. If somebody is smoking, if he has high blood pressure, if he has high blood cholesterol, but he's physically fit, cardiorespiratory fit, he exercises, he will live longer than the person who doesn't do any of those things, like smoking, doesn't have high blood pressure, doesn't have high cholesterol, but is inactive and is not physically fit. So we have smoking, we have alcohol, and we have inactivity. The 4th risk factor is overweight. Overweight increases the risk of almost all diseases. But even though somebody may be overweight, if he exercises, he will have only half the risk of dying compared to the normal weight person who doesn't exercise. But getting our weight down is rather important. Now, the 5th risk factor is lack of fruits and vegetables. We need to eat more fruits and vegetables. But you can't go to a place like the United States where they are already way overweight and tell them to eat anything more, unless you first tell them what to eat less of. There are 2 food groups they have to eat less of. One is sugar. The Heart Association has made recommendations on that. No more than 9 teaspoons a day. That's about 38 grams of sugar for men, and not more than 6 teaspoons or 24 grams of sugar a day for women. The average American is eating 88 grams of sugar every day right now, and that's too much. The second thing is meat. We're eating too much meat. The World Cancer Research Fund in London raises more money for cancer research than any other group. They have researched all the foods as they relate to cancer, and they have come up with a recommendation. Don't ever eat processed meat. That means meat that is salted, smoked, has added chemicals like nitrites and things like this. They should have none in their diet. That includes salami, ham, bacon, and such foods. Even the red meats increased intestinal cancer, similar to the processed meats. Processed meats are a little worse. But the red meats include your goats and your sheep. So they allow 500 grams of such foods for those who like to use it per week, 500 grams. But they say in the community as a whole, it should be no more than 300 grams. So they want people to limit their use of these kind of meats because they also increase intestinal cancer risk. Dr. Gary Fraser, a New Zealand doctor, did some studies, and he showed that even the white meats, the fish and the poultry, increased intestinal cancer just as much as the red meats. Now, to these 5 behavioral factors, they have added 2 more. One is high blood pressure, and the other is high serum cholesterol. Now, if you do those first 5 behavioral factors properly, you're less likely to have high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Now, with blood pressure, it's too much salt, it's being overweight, A vegetarian diet will lower the risk of hypertension. And then as far as the serum cholesterol is concerned, we can do something about that too. It's mostly saturated fat and cholesterol in the diet, which is the problem. Saturated fat, 2/3 of it is coming from animal products. Cholesterol, 100% of it is coming from animal products. So we need to avoid those animal products in a great deal to avoid the cancers and to avoid the heart attack risk.